Hiroshima Day is observed annually on 6th August. Hiroshima Day commemorates the remembrance of the bomb attack on Hiroshima and Nagasaki by United States during World War II in 1945.
World War II. During Second World War, Japan was against United States and its allies, including Britain and the Soviet Union. The allies won the war, and as a result, Japan was pushed back from several locations. Later, Japan and China teamed up and attacked America.
On April 30, 1945, holed up in a bunker under his headquarters in Berlin, Adolf Hitler committed suicide by swallowing a cyanide capsule and shooting himself on his head. He did this when Germany unconditionally surrendered to Allied forces.
Attack of Japanese troops. Everywhere there were soldiers of Japanese troops. They showed no mercy on America. They were cruel to those British soldiers and Americans who had even surrendered. Japan was taking its revenge on America.
The President of US, Harry S. Truman, wanted to surrender Japanese soldiers as soon as possible so that he could save lives of his people. So he bombed Japan, thinking that by seeing the destruction in Japan, they will surrender to America.
Pearl Harbor attack. On the morning of December 7, 1941, 183 aircraft of the Imperial Japanese Navy attacked the Union States Naval Base at Pearl Harbor on the island of Oahu, Hawaii.
Within 2 hours, 18 US warships had been damaged. 188 aircraft was destroyed and 2,503 American servicemen and women were killed.
Declaration of War. The following day, President Franklin D. Roosevelt addressed the Congress asking them to declare war on Japan.
According to some historians, US also wanted to execute Japan from Soviet Union, and so America dropped nuclear bomb in Hiroshima.
Surrender of Japan. After 3 days, another nuclear bomb was dropped in Nagasaki. As a result, Emperor of Japan Hirohito announced unconditional surrender in World War II on 15 August by informing the devastating power of the new and cruel bomb.
On the morning of August 6, at 8:15 am local time, a B-29 bomber Angola J dropped the atom bomb called Little Boy with a force of over 20,000 tons of TNT on the city of Hiroshima. This was when most industrial workers had already reported to work. Children were in school. The US Army bombing survived of 1946. Yet the bomb, which has exploded currently in the northwest of the center of the city, which were killed over 18,000 people and injured as many people. The area of nearly complete devastation was much smaller at about 1.8 square miles. Hiroshima Day is observed on August 6 every year. Its aim to promote peace and politics against the war. This day is reminding of the bombing attack on Hiroshima by the United States during the World War II. Along with the leaves, the bomb blast led to massive structural damage, with the Japanese officials stating that around 69% of buildings in Hiroshima were destructed. The explosion wiped out almost 90% of the city, killing thousands of people. There were around 19,000 buildings in Hiroshima, and after the bomb blast, 28,000 were left. Apart from the killings, the Japanese also suffered from the terrible burns and radiation sickness. But Japan did not surrender.
August 9, 1945. After 3 days of atomic bomb explosion in Hiroshima, US dropped another atomic bomb in Nagasaki. On the retaliation in the attack of Port of Boxcar, US dropped these atomic bombs in Japan. A US warplane, Enola Gay, dropped the Fat Man at 11:02 am, about 1,650 feet above Nagasaki. It was also one of the key shipbuilding centers of Japan. The nuclear bomb unleashed the equivalent force of 22,000 tons of trinitrotoluene. Japan surrendered 6 days later, ending World War II. Michinomiya Hirohito was the Emperor of Japan during this time. He was the 124th Emperor of Japan. The explosion should have taken place in a place called Kokura, but due to the unfavorable weather conditions, they later decided to drop the bomb in Nagasaki. Though Fat Man was very stronger than Little Boy. Nagasaki explosion was less destructive because of the uneven terrain of Nagasaki. Mountains and valleys helped to reduce the destruction. The historic pictures of the tragic incident show that huge blast led to a mushroom cloud, which grew as high as 9,000 meters or 30,000 feet. At least 70,000 people were killed in the initial blast at Nagasaki, while approximately another 70,000 more died from radiation-related illness later. Today, Nagasaki Day is being observed across the world to promote peace and create awareness about the threat of nuclear weapons. But because of the explosion, the subsequent generation also had to suffer many problems.
Consequences of Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombing. 76 years after the bombing, still, survivors in Hiroshima and Nagasaki are facing severe illness. By the end of 1945, the bombing had killed an estimated 140,000 people in Hiroshima and further 74,000 in Nagasaki. In the years that followed, many of the survivors would face leukemia, cancer, or other terrible side effects from the radiation. The uranium bomb detonated over Hiroshima on 6 August 1945 had an explosive yield equal to 15,000 tons of TNT. It razed and burned around 70% of all buildings and caused an estimated 140,000 deaths by the end of 1945, along with increased rates of cancer and chronic disease among the survivors. A slightly larger plutonium bomb exploded over Nagasaki 3 days later, leveled 6.7 kilometers off the city and killed 74,000 people by the end of 1945. Ground temperatures reached 4,000 degrees Celsius and radioactive rain poured down. One of the most immediate concerns after the attacks regarding the future of both Hiroshima and Nagasaki was what health effects the radiation would have on the children of survivors conceived after the bombing. So far, no radiation-related excess of diseases has been seen in the children of survivors, though more time is needed to be able to know for certain. In general, though the healthfulness of the new generations in Hiroshima and Nagasaki provide confidence that, like oleander flower, the cities will continue to rise from past destructions.
As a continuation to the topic, the consequences by the bomb blast that happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we can look up into a story of a young girl named Sudoko Sasaki. Sudoko Sasaki was born on 7th of Jan 1943. She was a victim of atomic bomb blast of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. She faced consequences of bomb blast and the radiation affected her deeply when she was 2 years old. But she survived and society named she as in the group of Hibashika. She basically known for the story of 1,000 origami cranes. On November 1954, when she was playing relay, she noticed a swelling in her neck. Also, she affected with purpura disease on her leg. On February 21, 1955, she got admitted in the hospital and found she is suffering from leukemia. the common disease after the bomb blast. In the hospital, she met a friend who gave a goal to Sasaki to fold 1,000 origami cranes so that she can make a wish and can survive. By setting this aim, Sasaki started folding. But after folding 644 cranes, Sasaki died on October 25, 1955. All other cranes buried with her. Later, the invention of radiologist it came to be known as leukemia is caused by the radiation of the bomb blast. The main consequences faced by the children like Sasaki was this disease.
Wanna know what happened after the bombing and how they survived after it? Let's find out. The restoration process took approximately 2 years, and the city's population, which had dwindled to about 80,000 after the bombing. The atomic bombing completely destroyed the city, including buildings as well as public infrastructure such as transportation and communication systems.
People collected all unburned materials they could find and began rebuilding their homes and their lives.
After the atomic bombing, rumor had it that nothing would grow in Hiroshima for 75 years. Then, when red kanna flowers became the first to bloom in the charred rubble, they were a tremendous source of courage and hope.
The city changed dramatically following the explosion, and new buildings were constructed, including civilian factory. The city was rebuilt after the war with the help from the national government through the Hiroshima Peace Memorial City Construction Law passed in 1949.
In 1949, a design was selected for the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum, and in 1955, Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum was opened in the Peace Park.
Nagasaki was also rebuilt after the war, but war dramatically changed in the process. New structures were also raised as memorials such as the Nagasaki Atomic Bomb Museum, which was opened in mid-1990s.
Sites in Hiroshima often draw peace activists. In 2005, Greenpeace members launched inflatable doors in front of the atomic bomb dome. Japan proactively cooperates with the UN Peacekeeping Operation and the UN Peace Building Commission and is engaged in the development of social infrastructure.
Japan has constantly followed the path of peace-loving nation since World War II and has been achieving peace and stability in Asia-Pacific region and the international community. The city has launched a forward-looking planning process called Hiroshima 2045, the city of peace and creativity with a focus on designing a modern, distinctive urban landscape.
In 2017, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons won the Nobel Peace Prize. It has worked to promote the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons.
Nagasaki and Hiroshima remind us to put peace first every day.
If wars can be started by lines, they can be stopped by truth.